All right, today we're going to unpack a really powerful strategy that's changing the game for US CPA firms. We're talking about outsourcing key accounting work to India. We'll get into how this move can completely break that cycle of rising costs and, that seasonal burnout. So, let me just ask you something right off the bat. Does this sound familiar? Your firm is staring down constantly rising costs, and that annual tax season grind, well, it feels less like a profitable peak and more like you're about to hit a breaking point. If that hits home for you, then you are definitely in the right place. You know what you're feeling? It's a really common challenge. Let's call it the modern CPA's dilemma. We're about to break down the specific pressures that are holding so many great firms back. Now, what's really fascinating here is how all these points are tangled together. You've got rising labor and overhead costs, which makes every single hour super precious. But then, that precious time gets eaten up by all the routine compliance tasks. And then, bam, the seasonal crunch hits, and it's all hands on deck just to stay afloat, leaving absolutely zero room for the strategic, high-value client work that actually grows your firm. It's a really frustrating cycle. So how in the world do you break out of that cycle? Well, you do it by making a strategic shift. We're going to take a look at what's called the Indian advantage and explore why it's become the premier destination for accounting services. And this is absolutely crucial. This isn't just about chasing lower costs. Not at all. It's about tapping into this massive talent pool of highly skilled accountants who are already experts in US GAAP and IRS regulations. You're getting access to top-tier expertise and a proven professional infrastructure, while also getting major cost efficiencies. It's a combination that's, frankly, pretty hard to ignore. So this advantage, it basically builds a whole new engine room for your firm. And it's an engine powered by three huge benefits: savings, speed, and scale. And just look at this. It perfectly illustrates the financial shift. Over on the left, you've got the old model: fixed salaries, benefits, high overhead, all costs you have to pay no matter how busy you are. But on the right, you get this incredibly flexible model. You only pay for what you need, turning those rigid fixed costs into variable costs that scale up or down with your actual client demand. And that flexibility, that's the key to real, honest-to-goodness scalability. Just imagine heading into tax season, and just like that, you can ramp up your capacity. No frantic hiring, no training temporary staff. Then, the minute the season's over, you scale right back down. It's this agility that lets you hit every single deadline without completely burning out your most valuable asset, your core team. And it doesn't just stop with people. You also get this huge technological edge. See, the top outsourcing partners have already poured money into the latest accounting software, automation, and cloud-based tools. You get all the benefits of that tech, the efficiency, the accuracy, without having to spend a dime on the investment yourself. Okay, so saving money and being more efficient, that's great for sure. But the real game changer here is how all of this frees you up to finally pull the levers of strategic growth. And this brings us back to that core problem we talked about. Your most experienced, your highest paid local staff, the people you hired for their brilliant strategic minds, are often just buried under a mountain of routine compliance work. It's an incredible waste of talent and potential. So, the solution is this really intentional four-step shift. First, you outsource the routine work. That immediately frees up your in-house team's time and, just as importantly, their mental energy. Now, they can focus on what really matters: becoming strategic advisors, deepening client relationships, and actually planning for the future. And the results? A more valuable service, happier clients, and totally new ways to grow revenue. And let's talk about risk, because for any CPA, risk is everything. When you partner with an experienced offshore team, you're working with specialists whose entire job is US compliance. They guarantee secure data handling and slash the risk of costly errors, which gives you and your clients some essential peace of mind. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking. This all sounds great, but what about my clients? This is maybe the biggest question firms have. We'll call this the trust factor, and the answer is all about seamless brand integration. The key idea here is something called white label solutions, and it's actually super simple. The outsourcing firm does all the back-end work, but every single thing is delivered to the client under your firm's brand, your logo, your name on everything. And this quote just says it all perfectly. Clients continue seeing your brand, not the outsourced partner. So as far as your client is concerned, Nothing has changed. They're still just interacting with you. The only difference they might notice is that they're getting faster, more efficient service. Your brand integrity stays completely intact.
It's also worth pointing out that this isn't an all or nothing decision. A lot of firms are actually using a hybrid approach. So they might use a nearshore partner in a similar time zone for things that need real-time collaboration, while leveraging an offshore team in India for that incredible cost savings and scale on compliance and volume work. The point is, you can tailor the strategy to fit your firm's exact needs.
So, when you put all of these different pieces together, what do you really get? Well, you get your firm, but it's transformed. It's more efficient, more strategic, and way more scalable. So let's just do a quick recap of what this transformation really looks like. You've got huge cost savings because you're tapping into a pool of US-trained talent. You now have scalability you could only dream of before, which lets you refocus your best people on high-value advisory work. And this whole thing is powered by incredible tech, all while your brand stays front and center thanks to white label solutions. And that brings us to the final thought. The accounting world is changing, and it's changing fast. The old ways of doing things are being replaced by smarter, more efficient models. So the only question left to ask is your firm going to lead that change or risk being left behind by it?